Alright, today we're going to be doing a couple things to this. This is a Honda CRF 450 dirt bike that my buddy Lee converted this into a trike using, I forget the company name, but I'll put it on screen. You can buy a kit from this company to allow you to turn a dirt bike into a trike. And my buddy Lee converted this over a year ago, and we're going to be building a couple things for this. We're going to be building Nerf bars, as well as a grab handle for the back of this thing. Alright, so this is how I'm building these. These are 180-degree bends, and then these are 45s. I'm going to be welding these to here, to this peg right here, because there's really nothing else to attach to onto here, because this is a dirt bike. The frame isn't really designed for Nerf bars. That's why I'm having to make them from scratch. So welding these to here, he wants a 2-inch gap between the tire, and then obviously welding this to here. I will be cutting this off, this access, and I'll be putting a piece of plate from here to connecting it up to here. That'll strengthen this whole thing. I would have liked to, bend this out of one piece of tubing instead of 4 of them, and then I'm having to sleeve them, weld them together. It would have been nice to do this out of all one piece of tubing, but there's a ton of unknown dimensions of how far. Does this have to be? Where is this going? Where is this going? There's a ton of unknowns, so it's just a lot easier and a lot faster to do it this way. And I do have this tubing that does fit inside of this tubing, so I will be sleeving these connections, and it will be strong enough. So. Alright, so we have to figure out a way how to mount this to the frame right here. Now there's really no good mounting locations on this frame. Because it's a dirt bike, it's not really made to have one of these installed on here, so there's really no good mounting spots. And I really don't want to weld onto this frame. It's aluminum, it's powder coated. I really don't want to grind off any powder coated aluminum, so therefore I can weld onto it, and then I'm going to have to touch it up with spray paint. It's not going to look right, it's not going to match. And I don't want to do that. So pretty much our only option for this is to just drill a hole through the frame. I really don't want to drill a hole through this frame, but it's pretty much our only option. And this is a really thick portion of the frame, and it's not like super critical. It's not like a load bearing whatever on this thing. It's I don't know. It's our only option, and I'm just gonna have to do it. Alright, so we kind of need to strengthen this up a little bit more. This is kind of a weak spot a little bit. So I'm going to cut this excess off. I kind of left this on here to kind of help me level this thing. I want to cut a piece of plate that I'm going to weld onto here, and it'll span this whole area right here. That'll help kind of tie everything together and strengthen this up just a little bit more. Alright, so we need to figure out how we're filling in these giant gaps right here, because we definitely can't leave this, otherwise they would defeat the purpose of this thing. I need to leave a space on here, so therefore you can still shift gears. So I'm going to be putting a 3/4 inch piece of tubing between here and here, roughly at this distance. I'm kind of using my boot as a reference guide to make sure that he can still get his boot past here to shift gears and everything. And then I called Lee to ask him what does he want to do to fill in these gaps. I was pitching him the idea of what if I just use 3/4 inch tubing to kind of like fill it up and like space them 4 inches apart. And then he said, what about expanded metal? So that's what he wants to do. It's a little bit rusty, but I can just, you know, grind the rust off. So I'm going to weld 3/4 inch piece of tubing here to here, right in this location. And then I may also do another one kind of right here to kind of fill in this empty space right here. And then we got to do it to the other side. Then we can put the expanded metal on and then weld everything in place. Alright, so there's one more thing that Lee wants me to add to this, and that is a grab bar to the back of this thing. It shouldn't be too hard, just 1-inch piece of tubing, 180 degree bend, 180 degrees, and there's already some threaded holes right here that we can easily just bolt this thing onto the frame right here. Alright, so there's one more thing that Lee wants me to add to this, and then we are pretty much done working on this stuff. Lee wants me to add another piece of tubing going from here, and that's going to connect to underneath the seat right here. This is really going to help protect your feet, because the whole point of this is he wants to make it to where you can't have your foot contacting the rear tire and potentially getting sucked in there. The dangers of three-wheelers. So this tubing under here underneath the seat is 3/4 inch, and I found these 3/4 inch locking collars. This is going to make it to where I don't have to weld onto the frame. I can just clamp this onto the frame and then weld to this, and you can still unclamp it. And I'm probably going to also make this portion on both sides removable, so I'll be using 1/2-inch bolts here. That'll help it be a lot easier to disassemble instead of having this thing just one giant piece of tubing assembly. So it's also going to help strengthen this whole thing up and make it to where it's not just held on, because this whole thing right now is held on by a 3/8 bolt on the front that I had to drill a hole through the frame, and then the foot pegs. It's basically the only things that are holding this thing on. And it's pretty solid right now, but this is also going to help strengthen this whole thing up. So yeah, bit of a different video for you guys working on this thing. It's not my normal, you know, building videos, but it is making something, so I thought I should make a video of this. Now Lee may want to add a couple more things to this. I did add the grab handle on the back, the Nerf bars, these are done. I think that turned out pretty awesome. He may want to add like another bar right here, but I want to ask him about that, but I'm not going to bother filming that kind of, I need to finish this video. He does want to paint these. He does want to look into getting these things powder coated, but if it's a little too expensive to powder coat these things, he's just going to rattle can them. I thought, you know, originally I was going to paint them, but then he said that he can do it, which is good because I need to move on with other projects. So he will be painting these. He's not going to leave them bare metal. He's probably just going to, you know, paint them the same color as the frame. Anyway, I guess that's it for this video. Thank y'all for watching. I'll see ya in the next video.